Hello and good afternoon, everyone. What an awesome start we've got off to, and this is one of my favorite things to watch. Birds of prey soaring effortlessly and highly efficiently just about directly above us, and we've decided to keep an eye on these vultures. That's exactly what they are, just in case they could possibly lead us to a kill, and they're a great indicator and species for taking us to kills made by other animals or an animal that may have just died of natural causes. And during the drought that we're in, herbivores are certainly battling away. You can see that it's a cloudy afternoon and there's a small chance of rain this afternoon, but I think the initial part of the safari should be okay. Now, these vultures, I think, are just enjoying floating above us, and interestingly, they were heading quite far to the east and then turned around and almost circled directly above us, and I wonder what they thought of their view looking down on myself, Scott, as well as Tebs, who I'm teamed up with on camera today. This is a live safari. If you're joining for the first time, it's a great privilege to have you with us, and it's important that you know that you can communicate with us and let us know questions, your thoughts, observations by using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or sending an email through to questions@wildearth.tv. It's a bit of a breeze, so that coupled with the cloudy weather means we are in for a pleasant afternoon. We're not going to be too hot. It's 28 degrees Celsius and 72 degrees Fahrenheit, and it is 4 o'clock in the afternoon here in South Africa. We are in the northeastern corner of our country, and we are in a reserve called the Sabi Sands, and it's a wonderful, wonderful game viewing destination that is attached to the Kruger National Park. So very, very privileged to be driving around here, and the fact that we've got a lot of first-timers joining us as well as some seasoned veterans means we have got a great broad spectrum of safari goers. Well, my plan is to initially head out in search of tracks of a female leopard whose tracks we actually had crossing out of our property this morning, out of our northern boundary, and we're going to just go and have a look and make sure she doesn't come back to visit. There's some impala jumping around. We might be able to get it crossing the road here. Oh, there it goes. And in this windy weather, a lot of the antelope and prey species are going to be skittish, so we can expect nervous behavior from them. Tebs, I think there's another one about to cross the road. We should be able to get it quite well. If you just wait on the road, you should get it. There she comes. The graceful impala. And Tebs is miraculously staying focused on her through basically an impenetrable wall of vegetation. And the good news is that the lady you're about to meet is not going to be very nervous. Her name is Janie, and I think we caught her just at a bad time. I think she's just hopped off the vehicle, possibly to look at some tracks, who knows. So you'll go over to her in a few minutes, but it's the two of us that are out, and that's important for you to know, and you'll be chopping and changing between the two of us. Depending on who finds what and when, you'll be jumping about, like I say, from vehicle to vehicle. Oh, Angela, thank you very much for sending through your question regarding the Nkahuma pride of 5 Lioness. And yes, we do have an update on them, Angela. They have sadly moved further west, away from our western boundary into Sibambili, but we've got good news, and it's not only us thinking about ourselves. We often put the animals first, and the Nkahuma pride are our regular pride of lion that we do see, and they were successful in making another buffalo kill last night, so we're happy for them, but obviously a little bit disappointed they didn't do it on our property. But they did catch a young buffalo, similar, it sounds like, to the size of the one that they caught the day before. Probably 6-7 month old buffalo, roughly. Not tiny, but a decent size. And by the end of the sunrise safari, when I got a hold of the guys in the west, they said that The lioness are about halfway through, so we're going to have to wait until tomorrow morning to follow up on them. And I've got a funny feeling that they're going to come back, so I think it's worth tuning into the sunrise safari. Well, it's basically worth tuning into every safari because you simply do not know what is going to happen. So if you don't want to miss out, then keep tuning in. Hello to Eric, and you've got a special request that we say hello to Kim Adams, as you would like to get her involved in a school. Please let us know what school, where in the world it is. It's always wonderful to know exactly who we're dealing with. And isn't it remarkable that we're in Africa, completely different time zones, many thousands of miles away from a lot of you, yet we're all sharing this wonderful experience together in real time. So Eric, we look forward to hearing more from you about this school. And Kim, maybe you can actually let us know a little bit more about what's going on. And like I said, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or send an email through to questions@wildearth.tv. Just spotted another bird of prey up ahead here, and it looks like an African hawk eagle. It's one of my favorite raptors. I just want to sneak a little bit further forward before we let Tebs try and get a view of it. Always tricky with the birds. They fly so quickly that we sometimes get showed up by them, and the plans often don't go according to how we would want them to. And it looks like this one might be no different. It's flying quite low and heading away from us, and I just don't think we're going to get a view of it over the canopy of the trees. But let's just wait a few more seconds. It may catch a hot air thermal and rise up very quickly. A bit of a gap there. Oh, if you go straight through that gap there, you got a glimpse of it, and it may do one more circle into the gap again, hopefully. Yep, there we go. So, not the best view, but it's a bird of prey, and I'm fairly certain that it is an African hawk eagle. But the good news is if we take a look straight down this road, quite a long distance, I just spotted some more animals. Ta-da! So we're in luck. A herd of elephants, and off we go. We're going to have to hurry because they are heading straight to our northern boundary, which they will cross quite shortly. So I just want to sneak ahead of them and try and get you a couple of good views before they disappear. And for the new viewers, it's important that you understand that it's just the humans that have got boundaries in this area, and for good reason, so that any one area doesn't get too congested. But the animals have got free rein, and they've got basically 4 million hectares to explore. That's bigger than quite a few countries on the planet, so it's a wonderful natural ecosystem that we're a part of. Jenny in France, it sounds like you guys had a wonderful sighting on the Juma waterhole camera of a water monitor lizard catching 2 African bullfrogs. Fascinating, and that's so cool that you got to see that, and Tony even managed to get a screenshot. And Tony, thanks for sending that through to us. Awesome stuff. I'm just going to slow down a bit because we don't want to disturb these ellies, and it looks like there's 2 young bulls trying to work out who's boss here. And they may decide to also show us their size and strength, but often it's just playful, and we don't have anything too serious to worry about. Come on then, come and show us how big and strong you are. Surely you can come a bit closer than that. You're still very far away. I'm not even remotely scared. Come on. Of course, I'm only joking with it. I'm not expecting it to respond to what I'm saying. So don't be fooled by my silly narrations there. And this one's quite nice and distinctive. He's got that little piercing in his right ear. I wonder how and when he obtained that little tear. And just like humans, animals will very often act the same way as adolescents. He is an adolescent. Oh, apologies, that is a female. Whoops. So that is not a young bull. You can see the mammary glands under her front legs, and it just goes to show, even though I've spent many hours on safaris, I still make mistakes. Oh, Tebs, let's look on the left quickly. It looks like there's a little young calf. Oh, yes. That's tiny. Look at it, it's got a little kink in its tail. I wonder how it got that so early on. So, looks like it's got a little broken tail, and how awesome is that? Mother and calf trundling off, and that's a very young calf. So, once we've given this herd a bit of time to get used to us and make sure that they're not in a bad mood, we'll try and edge close, and I think even now we can. What would be ideal is if we can squeeze through them. Oh no. It'd be much better if you were a young bull, because the young boys are far more predictable than slightly older ladies. Not that she is very old, she is a young looking cow, but with the young around and with hormones that could be flowing through her body for any given reason, I trust the females less than the males as a general rule. Come on, we just want to go and look at the baby. If you had one, we would pick you, but you don't. Sorry. There we go. Look at the tail now. That's really good behavioral sign to take note of. And when elephants hold their tails out horizontally like that, you know that they are not happy. That's one of the major signs to look for. And very important reading into the animal's body language, just to make sure we don't get on the wrong side of them. And that's why as soon as she displayed her disinterest in us getting any closer, I stopped the vehicle. And that way, by respecting their communications to us, they will hopefully respect us in turn and not come charging into us. What I'm going to try and actually do is give her a wide berth. So we will off-road 4 animals in the big 5: elephants, buffalo, rhino, lion and leopard, as well as cheetah and wild dog. What I may also do, and what some of you may be wondering about, is this funny little cluster of cameras on the hood of the vehicle, and it's a 360-degree camera for virtual reality, and you basically decide where you look. And sadly, we haven't got quite to the point yet where we can do it live, but I may turn it on with this herd of elephants, because we could get some great views of them. Let's just stop here, because it looks like they are a little bit worked up, and maybe it is because of this tiny little calf. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this opportunity to skirt through them. Just wait a little bit up the road in front of them, turn around, face back this way, and that way we will be able to get a position where they can decide to move up onto us rather than us forcing our way onto them, and we may find that they are more relaxed when we do this. So a little bit of a skirt through here. All good. And I'm just going to turn around and wait for them to approach us, and we tend to find that that results in far better and closer sightings and encounters than if you barge into them. Joseph, thank you for your concern and your kind words. And I do not intend on ending myself this afternoon. Being squashed by an elephant would be a terrible way to go on this fine, sunny and slightly cloudy afternoon. So don't worry. I'm feeling very confident. And it's just important, like I say, just to make sure you listen to them and watch them. And that way, they are unlikely to cause any major attacks on us. They're far less violent than humans or wild animals. listener Monique in London, and you'd like to know what exactly it means when they curl up their trunk. And it depends on the circumstances. Usually, if they curl up their trunk and they're running towards you, that means you're in big trouble. Trunk curled up, head down, ears flat means they are committed to a charge, whereas a trunk flaying, ears out, head held up high, they're trying to make themselves look big and strong. And that's, again, a warning that they're trying to give you before curling up their trunk and committing to a charge. So it all depends, but I think, like you said, a sign of uncertainty also sounds plausible. It's fascinating. If temperature zooms out a tiny bit temporarily, you'll see that whole tree that this elephant's feeding on has been completely stunted. It's got a massive trunk, but from about head height of the elephant, it's been continually pruned over the years. And as you can see, the pruning continues. That looks like a false marula that it's deciding to feed on now. There's also a leadwood trunk or stump in and amongst that. It's the leadwood on the left with the textured bark and the false marula on the right, and that's what she's feeding on. She's got great ivory, this female. And one of my favorite things about elephants is just watching them feed, because they are doing it basically permanently. And I'm always intrigued by the variety of plants that they feed on at the different times of year. And it's just interesting to see what the kind of flavor of the month is at any point in time. And she's a fine specimen, quite a big cow. Just like humans, all animals will change and vary in size depending on the area or the individual. If we take a quick look between her back legs, I'm not too sure if she's coming into season, but obviously you can see a bit of moisture there and a bit of coloration. So that's good to know. And obviously the ladies, when they are hormonal, can be a little bit more volatile than normal. So I've just taken heed of that. And that loose flap of skin, Mike Fleetwood, is the vagina. And under the front legs, you'll notice the mammary glands. So quite interesting that a four-legged mammal has got the mammaries in front, just like we do, I guess, because most of the animals, if you think about it, have them on their stomach or even further back behind their back legs. Interesting, or elephants rather, are extremely interesting animals regarding their anatomy. I mean, there's nothing quite like them on the planet. And I guess that's just one of their unique features. What are you going to do now, missus? Are you going to come and say hello to us, friendly, or are you going to give us some attitude? Please don't give us any attitude. Hello, how are you? And it's quite important to remember, if and when elephants or any animals do give you any aggression, by me talking permanently now in a calm voice, it's kind of giving off that vibe, you could say. And then if things escalated from their behalf, we could also escalate our tone of voice and our volume of speaking, and that's going to make the elephant think twice. And no different to us as humans. If we are sizing up an opponent or thinking about confronting somebody, usually you talk before you jump in, fists flying, and it's the same with wild animals. There's a little bit of vocalizations often before anything serious happens, and we too can vocalize. As we reposition, the herd's kind of just moving parallel to this open little strip. I can chat with Mike in Montana. Montana sounds like a wonderful part of the US, and maybe one day we'll be able to come and visit you there, Mike. Mike, you are spot on with your guesstimate of the weight of this tiny young elephant calf, and you've put it somewhere in around the 200-pound mark, around 90 kilograms. And I couldn't agree agree more with you. I think that is a very good guesstimate, and elephants are generally born in and around that weight category, around the 100 kilogram weight category. Hard to believe, but I guess an animal that can grow up to 6 tons and has a 22-month gestation period will be born quite large. Good, well, we're going to race you across to Jamie, who's found some waterbuck, and by the time the elephants surface, I'm sure you'll be back with us.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a rather windy sunset safari. And in fact, this wind is unsettling everything. I'm sure Scott has mentioned it while he's been out. And I've just been sitting watching this female waterbuck, and VM and myself were chatting about the way that she's ruminating. A little bit earlier, the sun was out, and you could see really clearly, watch as she swallows this ball of cud down and up again. So you can actually see the bulge in her neck as she swallows, and the bulge as the cud comes back up again. There you go. Awesome. I always find that fascinating, the level of control that they must have over their stomachs to be able to direct the ball of cud that they've chewed down into their stomach and then bring up the next ball that's due to be chewed. I wonder if they ever make a mistake and they chew the same ball twice, or the same cud twice. Fascinating to watch. Of course, there you go, down again. And up, up again. Fairly regular intervals as well. She's very consistent, this lovely female. Now on this glorious sunset safari with promises of more rain to help relieve our drought this evening. Welcome, my name is Jamie. I have VM on camera with me this afternoon, and we're coming to you live from an area that is, and I stand corrected on this because I've been giving you the wrong area, it is 3.9 million hectares of unfenced wilderness area. And I've actually been, in this particular instance, corrected on that, or have heard the size of the unfenced Greater Kruger National Area about 3 times this afternoon. And on a very much related thought, Joseph, Cindy, and many others, you were all wondering how Brent is. Brent is back. He is on the mend, and he will be back out on drive tomorrow morning. All things happening as foreseen, and back to his usual self. So you'll be happy to know, as I am relieved myself, that he is on the mend. But he does thank you for all of your very kind wishes and kind concerns. It was almost certainly tick bite fever, but we might never know. Impalas? You're playing hard to get. They were also lying down ruminating. The wind playing havoc with them as well. In Dallas, you were wondering, I'm trying to get you a nice image of these particular antelope. You were wondering if I could tell you about the difference between antelope and gazelle. And essentially, a gazelle is one of the families of the antelope in general. So it's in much the same way that there's a difference between frogs and toads. Toads are part of the frog, or one of the frog families, and gazelle are part of the antelope family. So there's no real difference, it's just a matter of subdivisions. And antelope species are divided into what are known as antelope tribes, each according to their own individual characteristics. For example, with the spiral-horned antelope, so the nyala, the bushbuck, the kudu, all united by that spiral horn, as well as other general coloration and habitual similarities. And I would love to tell you more. Generally, impala fall into their own particular their own particular tribe, which is actually quite closely related to gazelles. So gazelles, part of the antelope family. And while we carry on and look for more wonderful antelope and other things to show you, Scott has repositioned and he's got some baby elephants.
Well, I'm happy that you've all got to spend some time with Jamie, but we couldn't resist calling you back for this tiny little elephant calf. And look at it, it's chewing on its own trunk there. And the trunks often are more of a hindrance than a help for the first couple of years of an elephant's life, as it just really gets in the way. And it's an incredibly complex tool, which is very difficult to get the hang of. And socks cats, yes, that is an incredibly precious sight. And Steph has mentioned how cute that little elephant calf is, and I couldn't agree more with you guys. It looks like there's a youngster that's about to obscure our view of it, but let's, oh, here it goes. And Steph, you've also mentioned not only that they're very cute, but you can't blame the mothers for being so protective of their little bundles of joy. And exactly, what mother would not protect that little calf ferociously, as elephant cows can sometimes do? And now we've got another good view of it. And now watch how it tries to use that trunk. I saw a hilarious clip on Facebook the other day of a young elephant calf waving its head around with its trunk flaying wildly, and it was trying to chase some cattle egrets that weren't in the slightest concerned for its presence. And it's one of my favorite things to watch, young elephant calves trying to bully various animals. And it looks like we might be in luck. It could be led straight past us. Its mother looks like it's turned course and is now feeding gently towards us. And let's hope that our plan to allow them to approach us is going to increase our chances of getting a close-up view of them. Awesome stuff. There's a grey go-away bird calling in the background that you may be able to hear. Quang! There we go, there it goes again. It's a little bit farther, so you may be just hearing it faintly. Hello to Rose in Pennsylvania, and you would like to know how many teeth, other than their tusks, will they be chewing on. And they've got quite an interesting dental structure, Rose. They have these large slabs of very angled teeth, and they're basically on a kind of railway track system. Unlike our teeth that are replaced from the bottom up, theirs are replaced from the back forward. Like I said, on a kind of a railway track system. And they will have 6 sets of molars in their life, obviously one in each quadrant of the mouth. So there are these 4 slabs, very large slabs of tooth in each corner of their mouth. And that's what they grind up their food with. Once their 6th and final set of molars has been worn down, well, that's usually actually the cause of the end of an elephant's life, and it'll slowly lose condition as it can feed on less and less vegetation. And because they are so large, it's only in very unique circumstances where they will actually be predated on, but it does happen, which is hard to believe. But there are some prides of lion in various parts of Africa that specialize in hunting these animals. Isn't it wonderful to get a context of size, as Tebs has given you a great angle now of the calf sandwiched between 2 big cows? And it's a similar kind of growth period to that of humans. An elephant will reach kind of full size-ish at around 20. Not entirely. Some will actually grow until, and continue to grow until they're much older, but they're more similar to us than most animals and have a similar kind of lifespan of around 60 years. So they can be related to us in many ways, I guess, in terms of age and growth. They also kind of rely on their parents for a similar period of time, roughly. Let's race you across to Jamie quickly because she's found a primate that we don't actually get to see very often, and if this calf does come any closer, we'll be sure to race you back.
What's happening on WildEarth?
No.
Oh guys, something that we don't get to see all that often, and that's a really nice clear view of this vervet monkey. And guys, sorry, one of the landowners is just asking me for an update. If you bear with me one moment, I'll be with you very quickly. You're sorry, no updates for WildEarth. Ingwe tracks crossing into Buffelshoek. Sorry guys, just wanted to give you a little bit of updates, but let's cross back to Scott because the elephant's coming closer.
This should be okay. Sorry everyone, I've just been talking to the virtual reality camera, and the young calf and her mother has just popped out. Look at how cute that is. Come on, hold on to your mom's tail. It's something that you actually seldom see, and it gets portrayed more in cartoons than in real life. But wasn't that awesome? What's interesting is you can see how the rest of the herd is almost corralled around that young calf, just making sure there's no chance that we're going to cause any trouble. And they were all quite well spread out up until the point that that calf got close to us, and they're all in unison came in and made sure that everything was okay. And you can almost see them going up to it. Now look at that. The one female went and put her trunk against it. Oh, look there, you can see the calf from a previous. Look at this. That'll be an older calf born to the same mother that's being cheeky and trying to beg for some milk. And again, watch closely as this young calf tries to get to grips with its trunk. Hello, Jimad. And you'd like to know how old I think this little calf with its crinkled tail is. And I would say maybe around 6 months. I mean, it's so difficult to say, Jimad. Unless you see an animal being born and follow it closely, you can never be certain. But in and around 6 months, possibly a little bit younger. And I'm guesstimating that due to the fact that it seems to have quite good control of its legs and body, whereas calves that are younger than that will probably be less comfortable on their feet. Look at that. Absolutely awesome. Small, medium, and large. And like I said, all part of the same family, and that one that's closer towards us now, a young bull, will be the son of that same cow, in all likelihood. And that's why it's sticking so close to its mother. And it would probably be around 4 to 5 years old, and that's how often they give birth. Every 3, 4, or 5 years they will give birth, as a general rule. Just going to reposition quickly. We're not going to be able to do too much. I don't think we'll be able to get... Actually, we will be able to get ahead of them one more time. Let's just take this little sneaky firebreak road. Try and loop ahead that way. Desiree, in Indiana, you've made a good observation, and you'd like to know why is it that elephants will strip the bark off trees rather than simply eating the soft leaves. And different plants at different times of the year will yield different amounts of nutrients and different flavors, all depending on the individual plants. And the elephants are quite fussy feeders, and that's why they will target certain plants at various times of the year. So, hold on, this is going to be a little bit bumpy. And that's why they do it. Also, something important to remember, Desiree, is that... Oh, this is embarrassing. My friend Brett, who's just arrived, and he'll be taking you on safari tomorrow, is going to be laughing at me now. He's going to be actually in hysterics in the final control room. I can actually hear him laughing as Nicky's keying the mic. And some of you will remember just a couple of days back I mentioned that he will be here. We are looking to expand our team, and you guys are going to have the privilege of being taken on safari with him tomorrow. A new face, a new person to bombard with questions, and I'm sure you are going to treat him just as well as you've treated me and all the other first-time drives. It can be quite a daunting experience. Apologies though, as I lost focus on finishing off your question. And another big reason why elephants will feed on the bark as well as the roots of different trees is that that's the transport system from the roots, which is essentially the bank of the tree where they can store precious nutrients and receive precious nutrients and minerals. The bark is the transport system to get those nutrients from the roots to the leaves up at the terminal branches of the trees. So what the elephants will be doing by stripping the bark is intercepting those nutrients on their way from the roots to the leaves. Good observation, and I really do love you guys sending through observations as well as questions. I'm told the whole of YouTube is in hysterics, and that's good. We enjoy people laughing whilst on safari, and that wasn't my proudest moment. I don't know where that youngster is. Jennifer in Missouri is interested to know, why is it that young elephants will have their ears folded flat against their heads? And I guess possibly it's got to do with the fact that they have had those ears flattened against their head for 22 months as they develop in their mother's stomach. So that's probably a large reason. And you'll maybe find that the muscles and cartilage will grow and harden in those ears as they become older, and that's when they'll get kind of better control of them. This youngster you can see, who's probably around, like I said earlier, 4 or 5 years old, has got complete control of its ears, and they're not held flat against its head. But it's interesting because another viewer just a week or so ago also noticed that the elephant, young elephants like we've just seen, will hold their heads flat, their ears rather, flat against their head. Oh, Tebs has spotted it. Well spotted, Tebs. And if we're just a little bit patient, I'm sure the rest of the herd is going to pop out along with this young calf on an open road in front of us. And look at that, you can actually see that they're overlapping a little bit, and that's never really the case with the older elephants. What you'll find is that extra flap that's sitting on top of the young elephant's head actually folds down and sits flat against the actual ear. And Tebs, if you can find an elephant that's facing away from us, it's difficult from here, but even this one here on the left of your screen, if it opens its ear ever so slightly, you'll see that top flap of skin flaps down between the ear and the body. So that top portion of ear. There we go. So there you can see it clearly, whereas on the youngsters, that's still sticking up, and that's why they overlap to a degree. I'm just going to get on the radio quickly and update everyone about this herd of elephants. And even though they are about to cross over our northern boundary, they are going onto property where other people can drive around, and they'll be able to enjoy this wonderful herd. I'm just waiting for a little gap on the game drive radio, and just to let you guys know, there's a little earpiece plugged into my right ear, and I'm listening to all of the guys chatting on the game drive radio, as well as listening to you guys and your questions you're sending through to me. So there's quite a lot going on in this right ear of mine. Hello, Sharon Stewart. And it appears I may need to invest in a thesaurus, as I'm overusing the word awesome, and you've said if you got a nickel for every time I said awesome, you'd be on a plane to Africa right now. And maybe we can start a Scott saying awesome for Sharon to get to Africa fund. And like you said, before you know it, you'll be here. Possibly you can charter your own plane. Okay, there's a gap on the Game Drive channel, so I'm just going to update the guys quickly. As I said that, somebody just jumped on the radio who's wishing one of the guys who's driving around a happy birthday, so I'm going to jump on that bandwagon. Yours, happy birthday. There, my present to you is a herd of elephant with a small calf on Gowrie cut line, Buffles or cut line, and I will hopefully find you a leopard before the end of drive. Well, you wouldn't believe it, Joss is giving me an interesting update regarding a leopard, because I had some tracks in the area where he spends a lot of his time driving around. Copy that, thanks yours, well done, that's great news. So he's not sure, they can't be certain that it was the same leopard who we were tracking, but I did tell him about some tracks crossing into his property, and they did manage to find a female leopard, which is great news for him, especially on his birthday. He's besotted with leopard. We are going to now send you across to Jamie, and we're going to wait here in the hope that we will get one last view of these young elephants, or this young elephant calf, just before it crosses.
This is very interesting. We've got what you can see is one little piglet. There's also a second little piglet just out of view, and no sign of mom. And at this age, she will always pretty much be in attendance. They don't usually stray too far from their piglets because there's plenty out here that would make short work of a wild pork snack. Where's Mom? I'm very curious to see. Oh, there she is. Hello. That's where you were hiding. Hello, girl. Now, this is, for those of you familiar with the area, this is quite unusual for us to be able to see these warthogs nice and relaxed as they are with us. This is the female with the two piglets that lives around Leadwood. She's got a burrow somewhere between where we are now at Twin Dams and Leadwood Road. Hello, look at your little cheek fluff. Pretending to look big and scary. And speaking of big and scary, just before we came through here, we passed a very skittish warthog, as is normally the case, but it was probably one of the biggest warthogs I have ever seen in my entire life. Its tusks were absolutely enormous. I've been very impressed by the size of some of the warthogs that you get out here. And Vim and myself were just discussing what would happen if it were to be tackled by a leopard. I'm going to try and stay with our warthogs, but Scott's elephants are about to cross, so we're just going to pop over there for a few moments.
Well, never easy when there's so much cuteness around, which camera to focus on, and I'm glad you did go across to Jamie to see those little piglets, because we've already had such great views of this little elephant calf. You just caught the end of it crossing into some very thick bush, so we've tried our best to get you one last view, but not a train smash. Like I said, let's send you back to Jamie, and I'm going to now leave this herd and go and see what else we can find.
Lucky for us, our piglets are still here, as we're moving around and about the dead trees, trying to snuffle up all of the nice green shoots that they can. And I imagine for a warthog, this must be such a joy to have had plenty of rain last night, and then to be able to be faced with fresh green grass shoots in the next few days. And I've stopped at this mother before, and I've said that she's been looking fairly thin. Her hip bones are sticking out ever so slightly, but her piglets are looking perfectly happy and healthy. Still 2 of them, as they were the last time I saw them, and already munching on solid food at only a couple of months old. I love the ridges of hair on top of their back, much like the cheek fuzz that almost look like tusks. That ridge on the back makes them look bigger. And Mom very gracefully wandering off down into the drainage line. You too, don't stray too far. Warthogs in these sorts of areas would be always extra cautious. One last look at their mohawks. Whoopsie, did you walk into a tree? I think he bashed his nose. He wasn't really looking where he was going, and he bashed his nose on the twig there. Shame. Unfortunately, I think that might be our last view, but I'll try and get us around. Let's see. Nice to see a happy, healthy animal, and of course we get plenty of joy out of seeing what my opinion is helping an injured animal that we might see. Don't disappear, guinea fowl. What you calling for? The wonderful thing about this camera is we get to see so much in the way of detail. Look at that incredible coloration. Sorry, Mercedes, I'll be with you in one moment. I love the way that they walk. If you watch the way they walk, and I've spoken about this before, but for new viewers, as you watch guinea fowl moving, and they are fascinating to watch, you'll be able to have a look at the way that their legs move and see if it reminds you of anything. Because in fact, that is how they modeled the Tyrannosaurus Rex in Jurassic Park. So the film Jurassic Park, when they were creating the dinosaurs, or animating the dinosaurs, they modeled their walking and running style on the way that guinea fowl walk. And of course, our birds that we know today are direct relatives of the dinosaurs, or have come from the dinosaurs. What's fascinating about this, if we look at this guinea fowl now, and in fact all of the bird species, their closest relative in terms of any other animal, for all birds, their closest relative out of any other animal, any of the others, is a crocodile. One of those fascinating little evolutionary chains that is extraordinary to think about. And not only that, a crocodile is related to birds, that is to any other reptile, which is even more incredible to think about. All to do with a common ancestry that stretches back millions and millions of years. But I was in the middle of answering this question. I just thought I'd take a little stumble around Twin Dams, see if any of the water is collected around here. Mercedes, you were wondering whether or not, the answer is no, by the way, there's no water here. You're wondering whether or what my opinion is on helping an injured animal in the wild. It's always been a difficult one for me. I will say that I strongly believe in not intervening in a case where an animal has been injured under natural circumstances. That being said, a lot of the injuries that I feel absolutely should be addressed are the ones that are caused by humans, whether it's by snares, whether it's a stray bullet, whether it is being tangled up in some kind of litter. Fortunately, where we are, those sorts of cases are exceptionally rare, and it's an area and coming to the wild. So I only agree with intervening where something becomes our responsibility. I'm just coming out of the...
Shame, poor old Jamie on the rust bucket. Not having much joy with the signal being transmitted from there, so we should all sympathize with her. It's a highly frustrating place to be in. As frustrating as it can be for you as well, of course. I think she's in pole position here in VM this afternoon. So it seems like our tech team have some work cut out for them, as they always do. It's a never-ending job. It's like having little children looking after these vehicles. They require huge amounts of loving and tender care in order to keep working. Now, this is where the water monitor lizard attacked 2 frogs, and I wonder if we can't see it sunning itself somewhere. We could get lucky and see it just basking in the warmth after a good meal, but I can't seem to see it anywhere. Wendy, thank you very much for your thoughts as to which kind of rock monitor lizard you think it is. And I think that you spot on. I think that it is probably a Nile monitor lizard, judging by the fact that you said it's got quite a pointy nose. That, depending on its size plus coloration, they tend to have more yellow coloration, almost like a light lime green, yellowy color to their body, as opposed to their rock monitor, their cousin, which we also get in this area, which has got less coloration, less yellowy, lime greeny colorations, as well as a much more bulbous head and a robust head. Look at this strange little creature on the ground here. Not right here, Tibbs. Bet you weren't expecting to see this, were you? That is a rover. It's the latest addition to our arsenal of toys. And how cool is that? That's going to be some low-angle, incredibly close-up visuals, hopefully, in the near future. And Alex, our Russian genius, is busy trying to tweak the rover into an operational form. Good stuff. We're going to continue on. I'm going to go and pick up Brett from the final control, and he's going to hop on the back and learn what not to do as a presenter. And like I said, it's going to be great for you guys to meet him and get taken around by someone who knows what they're talking about. Speaking of which, that is about to happen as we send you across to Jamie. Enjoy.
Oh dear, and it seems as though I was cut off in mid-sentence, but luckily we're back up and running again. I was in the middle of answering Mercedes' question about whether or not I believe in human intervention for a sick or injured animal. And I said that where human beings are responsible, I believe absolutely that that animal should be helped. The difficulty really falls in drawing that line. Where exactly does human intervention begin or end? Because you can argue it in multiple ways, but definitely direct human influence play a factor in that respect. Traffic jam on Duma's southernmost boundary. Now, it's always a difficult line to draw. Now guys, particularly if you're really fond of animals, you really like animals, the way that you've got to view it is that there isn't endless money, aren't endless resources to go and help every sick animal. And not only that, but nature has been weeding out the weak genetics for hundreds of thousands and millions of years, long before we even had the ability to have any kind of influence on their lives. So you have to let it run its course in order for the genetics to be strong, the animal species to be stronger. It's all stuff that's been naturally occurring, and actually we don't know nearly as much as we think we do. We think we're taking the correct moral decision. For example, providing water holes. Finding the terrapins, two terrapins. Amazing how fast they enter into the puddles. So let's say, for example, the water holes in certain areas. Water holes bring animals that don't belong here, or don't belong in those particular areas because that's not where they've evolved to be. What do you see, Vian? Timbuktu.
Right behind this dead tree. Go forward.
Is he? Well done, Wildy. Wait, come back. I didn't see you. Now, we had an amazing sighting yesterday afternoon with a female steenbok that was incredibly obliging. We actually got to sit and watch her face and look at the flies around her eyes and her beautiful big eyes and eyelashes. Although usually most of what you see of them is a flash of disappearing fur as they race off to find safety in thicker and denser vegetation. But also it's a lot windier this afternoon than it was yesterday. Although she did take me by surprise. I couldn't believe how incredibly obliging she is. Here's something else. But yes, we don't realize how much influence we can actually have in a negative way. Even if the efforts are well-meaning, we're still learning a lot. I hear you, little mongooses. I can hear little... I see you. Oh, check the snake. Check the snake.
I don't see it.
Here on the right. Yeah.
Oh,
That's what they're alarm calling at. Oh, wow. That's what they're shouting at.
I've lost the snake now.
The snake's just gone. Where that mongoose is, it's gone in there.
Oh.
They're mobbing it.
There's a rabbit as well.
Oh, it's a scrub hare. Let's just try and get a different view. It was a huge snake. And it was fast moving. That was so interesting. They were alarm calling not at me as I originally thought, but at a snake that was around here. Let me see if I can spot it again. Can you check under where that branch curves, where that fallen tree is? It disappeared through there. That was where I last saw it. It was basking in the sun, and I think it was a cobra, just by that brief glimpse that I saw of it. Long cobra, at least 4 or 5 feet. That's why they were so panicked. I could hear them alarm calling, and I thought it was at me. Where did that snake go? I wonder if there's termite burrows there. That was an absolutely enormous snake. It moved too fast and in a way that wasn't pythonesque. It wasn't a python. And I wouldn't be surprised if it were either a cobra. My initial thought was cobra. And I wonder if it hasn't gone into one of their escape burrows somewhere there. They're all around me. All the little dwarf mongoose are around me now. They're looking very distressed, very tense. You can see that immediate reaction. You hear him squeaking. Keep checking in with the rest of the group. What's happening, guys? Where did he go? Absolute panic and pandemonium. There's the scrub hare that shot out. Also panicked, and I think that snake is still somewhere where that scrub hare was hiding. But the question is, has it gone into a burrow or a hole? I can't see it. Wow. So it was a very quick movement that I caught out of the corner of my eye. The snake was basking next to the road and then shot towards the dwarf mongoose, and they're all, when I drove past, they were obviously alarm calling at the snake, and I didn't realize, and then our presence as it came through caused the snake to move off in the way it did. I don't think it was hunting them. I think it was just basking, trying to warm up after the last few cold hours that we've had since the rain set in. But that was fascinating. I wonder, I'm still going to keep looking. I want to just try and reposition, see if we can see it from a different angle. I'm checking the trees. What we're going to do, because I think that most of you may well have missed the movement of the snake through the dwarf mongoose sighting. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to replay that, and it is going to be a little bit blurry apparently, but they have prepped a replay of it. So look in the top left corner and see if you can spot it now. Now, while you were watching that, and I hope you managed to see or get a glimpse of it, I've been trying to watch the behavior of the mongoose. I'm trying to see if maybe they give away where that snake went. And it's not unheard of for dwarf mongoose. For the smallest mongoose in the mongoose family, they certainly come with plenty of spirit. So keep your eyes peeled, see if maybe we can spot the snake again, because it's not unheard of for dwarf mongoose to start to mob them. And I think that scrub hare also got the fright of its life. That was so unexpected. I'm trying to check the trees as well after my black mamba sighting. Whether there is any chance of it popping up. It was sort of a darkish grey-brown in color. The size of it, to me, there's a couple of possibilities. One is a cobra, by the way that it moves. I don't think mamba, and I have to be honest, I'm not certain. There was just something in its physical aspect that said to me not mamba. I think cobra, or the other alternative is quite a large mole snake. Now, a big mole snake can reach the same sizes of the cobras and the black mambas. They're actually completely non-venomous, but they do look terrifying, and they're very often mistaken for black mambas. And they've got solid fixed teeth. They're constrictors. They're not fanged snakes with venom that they can inject into their prey. And while we're sitting here, mongoose are still calling chip, 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 chip all around me, contact calling to each other. There was absolute mass panic. But I think the snake has moved off, because I think if it were still in one place, I imagine that they would, if not necessarily have gathered near it, not necessarily be mobbing it, but at least gathered in a sort of at a safe distance watching it. And I can't see them doing that. But it was so interesting to witness their behavior. Where are you, snake? Where did you go? And Darlene, I've mentioned before that there is a level of resistance that the dwarf mongoose has. There's a scrub hare. Good morning. Did we wake you up? Sorry, Darlene. I'll be with you in a moment. Just want to have a look at this. It's feeding, isn't it? Yeah. Did you get a bit of a fright, scrub hare? Imagine, fast asleep, and a giant snake comes shooting through. Well, there's not much else to do other than have a meal. Yeah. Midnight snack is the way forward. But Darlene, you were wondering if the mongoose are immune to snake venom, why then would they be so afraid of snakes? I might have given the wrong impression. They're more resistant, or they have a certain level of resistance to snake venom. They're also very, very good at dodging the strikes. Sorry, I'm so distracted by them. They're shooting all over the place. It's squeaking all the time. And I can just hear them in the sort of, at a 360 sound from each way. It's very distracting. But Darlene, they're not completely immune. They're very adept snake hunters.
There was a cuckoo or something running here.
Oh, yes.
Wasn't it
A
anything?
flash of... Oh, zebra.
Oh.
There's zebra at the back there. Oh, it's all happening in this corner of Juma. One mongoose running across the road. Here comes the other. Oh, they're moving their babies. That's what they're doing. They've got kids in their mouth. That's why they're so scared. There, if you go up a little bit, Willie, you should be able to see it coming through. I can't move now or I'm going to scare her.
I can't see her at all.
She's on the other side of this patch of bushes. She'll come out now, or she might come out now. That's why they're so stressed out. They've got youngsters with them. I wonder if the snake hasn't been quite possibly ready. There you go, there you go. There's movement there. She might pop out. There, she's there. I just saw her flash by out of the corner of my eye, carrying a youngster in her mouth. Come on, you can bring her out, girl. Nothing's gonna happen. So, as I said, one of them carried, or what looked to be carrying, what looked like a youngster. She's just come out now, but not with whatever she was carrying. But she was definitely carrying a little mongoose in her mouth, and she must have left it there. They probably have some kind of secret, almost little... She's a bit more relaxed now. I'm going to go forward. And get, I'm not going to drive right next to her because she'll go into hiding. She's hidden it in the stump of a fallen tree. I'm just gonna... There it goes, there it goes, there it goes. There you can see she's carrying her baby again. Oh, this is incredible. All right, girl. Shame, little one. And a couple of you guys are amazed. Have you got it there? Yeah. Lots of you are commenting about the fact that they carry their babies in their mouths. And yes, socially awkward girl, they do. Shame, and that's why they're so stressed out. They're trying to protect them. And I don't know where the snake has gone. I don't think it's a threat to them anymore. Hello? Yes, we see you. It's okay. It's all right. Don't stress. You're not going to hurt your babies. Well done. Well done. She's contact calling, he or she, because they all take care of the youngsters in the group. So it could be either a male or a female, even though I keep calling it she. Shame, little one. And see how on alert she is. And again, all of that 360. There it is. That's the little baby she was carrying. This is the most amazing dwarf mongoose sighting I've ever had. Hello guys. It's okay. Oh, shame. Little one. You stay hidden. It's okay. Now I was in the middle of answering Darlene's question about why would mongoose be scared of snakes. Well, apparently they've got little bundles of reason at the moment. They're not completely immune, Darlene. They can be resistant to certain types of venom, more so than we are. But they are not. Here, she's going to carry it. Come on, girl. All right. Okay. Desperately seeking the safety of darkness, she wants to move it, but she's still trying to get into contact with the rest of her group. So she wants to keep it with her, so it doesn't do anything, but she wants to know where to move it to. You can see that immaturity to the shape of the face, much rounder. Raisa, you voted cobra. I agree. My initial thought was cobra. And Darlene, yes, if they get bitten, they could actually be killed by the snake eventually. And that snake could well have been after these youngsters. When I said I thought it was basking, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was actively hunting the baby dwarf mongoose. That was why I picked up on the alarm calls. Oh, cute. I can now hear a squirrel quite far off from where we are. I think that's alarm calling at the snake. See how instinct acts here in the youngster to be in a dark crevice.
Another one behind us, baby. Can't get it.
Vim's just told me, and I've just seen it as I turned around behind me. There's another one relocating a youngster. That snake was obviously raiding their burrows. I'm almost certain of it.
Go through left.
Pardon?
It's on the left.
On the left, yeah. Oh, yes, there it is. Well done, Vim.
Yeah. Oh, there.
There. There's another one with a baby. Vim spotted her run behind us, carrying it in her mouth. Well done, Vim. Dashingly, she's run under that log, that fallen log there, but to the right of where you are now. Yeah. This is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Panic and pandemonium in the mongoose family. Now the reason I'm now just sitting completely still, I'm also keeping my voice down, is so that we don't add to their stress. The fact that they're moving around behind us tells me that they're okay with us here. So we're not impacting on this sighting in any way. But they are just desperately trying to relocate each other after all this chaos. Hey, little one, it's okay. It's okay. Oh, shame. Kevin, you're absolutely right. These are incredible animals. Cheep, cheep. looking up at the older mongoose who is above its head. Oh, I'm looking for comfort. Iggy, I must tell you that you are so lucky. Where is that? Sorry, hold on one second. Sorry, Iggy. I'm just taking my earpiece out for one moment. Where is that squirrel calling from? I can't hear it properly over all the squeaking mongooses. It's calling in that direction.
Sounds like 1 o'clock.
Yeah, it's about 1 o'clock. Now, I wouldn't have thought the snake could have got there, but a bird of prey would also, because the dwarf mongoose will be listening to a squirrel alarm calling, so that's going to start to add to their panic in this situation. And when I said to you that the noise of their squeaks is distracting, it's like it's pinging in my peripheral hearing everywhere. There she goes, they've got her baby. She's just running through that gap. She's going to come across the road, I'm almost certain. That was incredible. So quick. Iggy, for a first mongoose sighting, this is incredible. This is the most phenomenal mongoose sighting I've ever had, certainly. As a dwarf mongoose sighting, this is very... And we must it's absolute testament to Liam's skill that he's managed to capture these moments, because everything has happened in split seconds. Vicky, you were wondering about the puffed up tail on the adults, and you were wondering if that is a panic or a response to stress and panic, and yes, I think it is. It's the most puffed up I've seen their tails. Shame she's taken refuge somewhere there. Disappeared out of view for now. I wonder how many babies they had to move. So the wonderful thing about Dwarf Mongoose Society is, even though essentially... Should we go investigate what that squirrel's shouting at? I think maybe we should.
Oh, we had that zebra.
And the zebra running. As you see, now that the mongoose have moved off, they've relocated each other. I noticed two of them squeaking across to each other. So I feel comfortable to move. And I also think it's a nice opportunity for us to remove ourselves from the equation so that we don't cause any further stress before they're all around us. I can see the mother and her baby now as I went past, but I'm just going to keep going just to reduce the stress a bit. You're squeaking here now as well. What is your purpose? Where's the school? The one there. Wow. This has been a fascinating sighting. So what I was saying is that Dwarf Mongoose Society, although generally only the alpha pair breeds and something similar to wild dogs, although others can breed at different times, generally it's only the alpha pair, and usually the rest of the group is completely dedicated towards helping raise their youngsters. Is that a baby? Oh no, that's an adult. Well done, Goldie. No, it's an adult. Just my sense of perception skewed. And I think they've decided that this is the new home, because there's also one to the left there as well. On the other side of the... There we go. I wonder if these two are calling the rest of the family group to move them here. Such a brilliant method of locating your buddies. This is the one that's been calling the loudest. When you are only a couple of inches off the ground, it's a good way to be able to squeak and then listen back for responses. Yep, this is where they're gathering. Bit of allo grooming there, just to reunify their bonds. So yes, all of the mongoose will be dedicated towards helping raise the alpha's babies. And that will usually be between sort of 2 to 6 would be the average number. Monique, you want to know roughly sort of how many youngsters they have. Usually about 2 to 6 on average. They're limited by the number of nipples that the females have. And as far as I know, females won't suckle the alpha's little babies. So they might help look after them and protect them. And very often the youngsters will babysit them, but they won't feed them. That's from what I know of mongoose behavior. But yeah, I don't know how many, I wonder how many babies. We know they had at least 2 in this group. What an incredible sighting. And Monique, I don't think they're going to continue to look for the snake. But I think they are moving their babies because of the presence of the snake. And I think you're right in asking that question as to whether or not they're going to have to move because the snake now knows where their babies are. Yes, I think they will have to move. I think that's why they've taken action now, because they've lost sight of the snake. They don't know where it is. They know it knows where their youngsters are. And who knows, maybe they'd already tried to mob that snake and get it away from them. What an interesting, fascinating glimpse into the complex lives that they're definitely one of my favorite animals to sit and watch. And while we've been sitting here, there's more of them slowly approaching, but they only approach from obstacle to obstacle. I think there is a baby. And Annie, I absolutely agree. I think this is an emergency evacuation, and the panic came from where to make a decision about relocating. Oh, there she comes, she's made it in. So we were right, this is where they wanted to be. That was how the decision was made. There comes the second one. I've seen 3 babies go in there now. The first one I wasn't so sure of, but the other 2 definitely. 3 babies so far. That is incredible to watch. There they all are, gathered nice and safely, all joining together again, and now playing with the older ones. You guys have been incredible. Well done. Got your babies safe. A rescue mission. I wonder if they're going back for more. Annie, I think you're right. I think there was a panic as to where they were all going to, because as we know, dwarf mongoose in an area have lots of little burrows that they use. And I'm keeping keeping a lookout in case some of them come running back. I think this individual at the base on the left is the one that made the decision. It got into position, it sat there, and it called loudly, repeatedly to the rest of the mongoose. Now one of the youngsters has popped its head out, brave little creature. There they are, dashing around. Now, Anna, you were wondering what the collective noun, or actually the proper noun, is for a baby mongoose. Now, they're known as pups, but it also depends on which book you read, because I actually did it earlier. I called it a kit, and that's because what I was first taught a baby mongoose was called, but apparently the official name is pups. I've always called them kits as a child, and I think probably that stemmed from the ferrets, because of course a baby ferret is known as a kit. But to give you a rough idea of perspective, there are some babies wandering around. What are you digging for now, huh? Are you feeling a bit better, a bit calmer?
like he's having a whoops.
A little accident. Cute little ones. Oopsie daisy. And still that sentry stands strong on the left. Incredible. Have you all taken a moment to have a communal relief of tension in one corner of the den? Because that's what it appears to be. That's the toilet. Okay, kids, there's the loo of the new house. An incredible insight this has given us in one brief sighting into the way that they operate. Now, Iggy, you were wondering, and this is, you must know how lucky you are, Iggy, to have had this as your first dwarf mongoose sighting. It is incredible. But you wanted to know if I think maybe some of the mongoose chased that snake across the road and the rest rescued the pups. Iggy, I'm not sure entirely what happened. That's one option. That sheer size of that snake, especially if it was a cobra, suggests to me, I'm not sure. I'm in two minds about what happened. It's a possibility, absolutely, that they chased and the rest went to go collect the pups. That's generally what mongoose do. They are more than capable of that level of group coordination. The other part of me that's starting to rethink through that sighting is wondering whether we didn't actually disturb the snake, as we drove past, cause it to move, and that's when they actually saw it. And that's why there was so much panic, because immediately some mongoose were running around looking for the snake. The rest of them started coming out with the babies there. So that's one of two options. One, they were unaware and we came round and then they saw the snake move and suddenly realized it was there. I said I heard alarm calls. I heard them squeaking. Dwarf mongoose squeak. I don't speak dwarf mongoose. They could have been alarm calling at us, and then we disturbed it and then it turned into snake alarm calls. Or it was that they were chasing it and then I heard their alarm calls from that. A supposition. I don't know what happened beforehand. Both of those are possibilities, but I'm very happy that they managed to get their little ones to safety. And I wonder, some of them are dashing back. I wonder whether they're not running to go and fetch some more. But this one has been the sentry, or I don't know what you'd term it. It hasn't moved from its post. It's been sitting there the entire time, squeaking, calling, letting everyone know where home base is.
Maybe.
Here comes another one. They were going back for more. Well done, VM. Oh, they're so fast. Okay, that's number 4. Or at least number 3, but I think number 4 that we've seen dash in there. I saw one first out of the corner of my eye. Now they love these tangled up termite mounds. Wildebeest is on the ball, keeping an eye on what's happening behind me. Thank goodness, because he's spotted them all coming dashing in. But they love these little... Is that another one? No, it's not carrying a baby, just another one running in. My word, I feel like my neck's been rotating on speed wobbles, trying to keep an eye on everything that's going on. It's insane. I thought you needed eyes in the back of your head for hyenas. I hadn't tried sitting through a dwarf mongoose sighting like this one. And A, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, A as in A-E, you wanted to know if mongoose can climb trees. They can. They are very agile little creatures, but they generally don't. They're not really built for climbing straight up branches. They're not like squirrels that are slightly more adapted in the positioning of their toes. So squirrels have 3 toes that sit at the top of the foot that provide for that extra strength of grip for a vertical climb. Dwarf mongoose, although they're agile and they often move between stumps and fallen trees, generally don't climb up vertical stumps. So I've never seen a dwarf mongoose higher than the size of a fallen stump. Imagine what they're feeling now. And apparently Safari Dean and I were on the same page when we mentioned this den, and it was how I thought that filming hyenas were complicated. Absolutely, Safari Dean says it's like a mini version of the hyena den. I wonder if they got all their babies out. I really hope so. I can't help but hope so. You shouldn't choose side, but it's very difficult. Dwarf mongoose are one of my favorite animals. Hey, you're cute. Yes. Make sure you mark your new den thoroughly. Dwarf mongoose are not content unless they have piled their dung and urine all around the entrance to the den, which now that I think about what's just happened, seems like a very poor evolutionary tactic actually. Let us make our sleeping area as smelly as possible. So just to give you a rough perspective of scale, a dwarf mongoose is about, an adult dwarf mongoose is about this long. Now we're getting to see them on super zoom. They're about this long. The babies are probably about this long. They're about that high. Babies are probably about that high. Really, really tiny, tiny little creatures. And I think all is settling down now. The adults, one more. That was number 5. That just dashed in there. This is a relay rescue mission of note. All gathering together, all chipping happily. Oh, I really hope they all made it out. They're now racing around the den. B. Wilson, I'm in complete agreement. After that sheer show of courage from the adults in protecting their youngsters, they have had a really tough afternoon. I really hope that they've all survived this. Hello? Yes, have a good scent mark. Have a good rub. Mark it as your own, as your second house. Hey, baby, make it familiar for the youngsters. Maybe that's why they do it. So that if the youngsters get lost, they know where to go. Because look how that baby's sniffing where that adult scent marked. Sure. I'm not sure about the rest of you, but I can safely say I have learned more about dwarf mongoose than I ever expected to in a sighting like this. Absolutely phenomenal. And just think, I nearly drove straight past and ignored the calls of the mongoose calling next to the road. Amazing. But there's more. Why are you guys still dashing off? We're on number 5 now. I wonder what the maximum litter size for a dwarf mongoose family is. I don't know off the top of my head. Eric, who is watching in Virginia Beach, he was saying that where you live, there were no snakes, and that you were told that the imported population of mongoose had actually killed them. And you're wondering if it's true that they eat snakes. And they do. I mean, the tables could well be turned. Little dwarf mongoose like these would definitely target the smaller species of snakes. Something like a centipede eater would be a quick meal for the sharp, fierce mongoose teeth. And the larger mongoose species are actually capable of taking on much bigger snakes. In general, though, the famous story, I think it was of Rikki-Tikki-Tavi, the mongoose that used to tackle cobras in, I think it was it India? I think it was India. the famous story about Riki Tiki Tavi, those are all more cases of snakes mobbing cobras. So a group of mongoose let me try that again, mongoose mobbing cobras. So a family like this one, they would try and scare away a big cobra like that, and that cobra was, if it is a cobra, was huge. They wouldn't set out to try and kill it or eat it or anything like that. All they'd try and do would be to scare it away long enough to move their babies out of its reach. That's pretty much all they would do, essentially defend their den site. Well, I think it's all settled down, and Scott has found one of the cuckoo species to show you.
Okay, now, it sounds like you guys have been having a fascinating time with Jamie. Sighting of a lifetime, really. So you're all hugely privileged. I'm trying to find you a better view of a cuckoo. It's the cousin of the cuckoo that we saw on the sunrise safari, and it's called a striped or Lavalian cuckoo. I'm just going to try and go forward. I don't think we're going to get a good view. You can see its wing flittering behind that foliage, and I think there's some kind of a mating dance, perhaps. There's two of them here dancing about in this tree, and it's not going to be a youngster begging for food because they are raised by other parents, a different species, being a cuckoo. It is a mating dance. I think we could get incredibly lucky here. And if we get to see these cuckoos mating, this will be another once-in-a-lifetime sighting. Look, they're going to go for it. I think they could even be mating right now. They are. They are mating. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that would be possible. Absolutely phenomenal. They are usually such shy and secretive birds, all of the cuckoos, and I think it's because of their dodgy, shady side of life, the fact that they lay their eggs in other birds' nests and allow them to raise their chicks. And that's why I knew from the beginning that it's not going to be a chick begging for food, because any cuckoo chick will be begging for food from a completely different species. In this case, it's the starlings that the Lavalians or striped cuckoos parasitize, as far as I'm aware. And isn't it wonderful? You've been looking at baby dwarf mongoose with Jamie, and now mating cuckoos, making some more babies for Juma and surroundings. Now, the name is the Lavalian cuckoo, also known as the striped cuckoo, formerly. And here I've got a picture in the book, and I'll be able to show you the differences quickly between the Jacobin cuckoo, which we saw this morning, which looks very similar, but it's got a white chest, and the Lavalian cuckoo, which we've just seen now, which has got a striped chest. Now, apologies, I've got the wrong cuckoo. It's the great spotted cuckoo that parasitizes the starlings, and the Lavalian cuckoo parasitizes in this area strictly the arrow-marked babbler. In other parts of the park, they will parasitize the other babblers that you get out here. So what we've just seen there is a future arrow-marked babbler's unwanted baggage being made. And I wish I could remember the name of the person who got up to 101 birds this morning with the Jacobin's cuckoo. Oh, the problem is with having thousands of people on your vehicle daily, it's hard to keep track of everyone. But there was one of you that got to their 101st bird on their bird list this morning with the Jacobin's cuckoo, and imagine if 102 is Lavalians and a screenshot of them mating. Now, the interesting thing about the viewer who has got 101 birds is they've got a screenshot to go along with every single sighting. Isn't that marvelous? So I hope you're watching, and if you are, please let us know your name again, and apologies for forgetting, but this little skull of mine is very sieve-like and doesn't retain too much information for long periods of time. Like I was saying though, before we got distracted by those mating cuckoos, the sighting that you've been having with Jamie has been a once-in-a-lifetime sighting, and I'm very, very envious of the incredible moments you've shared. But the good news is, at least I'm going to be able to watch through the highlights. And interesting speculations, like Jamie says, is it just uncanny timing that you got there at the perfect moments as the mongooses discovered the snake possibly raiding their den? Or was it that you flushed the snake into the mongooses and then all hell broke loose? Who knows? But the end result was a good one, and I'm very, very happy for all of you. Well, the girls in final control have done a good job of remembering it was Marilyn in Montana. So if you're watching, I hope you've got 102 down, and I'm sure we'll get an update from you shortly. If you are in fact watching, that is the tricky thing, I guess, for a lot of you, is that if you miss out in any of the drives, you miss out on the risk of missing such cool things happening. That's exactly the trap we want you to fall into. And I can't keep saying enough that the more people that join in, the more places we're going to be able to take you to, the more toys we're going to be able to get, and the more fun we're going to be able to have. And if any of you are watching for the first time, it's important that you know that this is happening live right now. It's hard to believe, and if you don't believe me, send through a tweet using the hashtag Safari Live, or an email through to questions@wildearth.tv. And who knows, maybe I'll do some kind of a terrible dance on the hood of the vehicle for you. Also, let us know where you're sending your messages from, because it's always nice to know where in the world you're watching. Steph from Switzerland, I'm going to halt the vehicle in order to answer the question that you've just sent through. You would like to know if there's ever been a situation that's unfolded here on Safari Live that I wish I had have been involved in, either when I was on leave or when I was on drive but simply in the wrong place. And immediately sighting pops into mind. And Brent and myself were out one afternoon, and he was following the Nkuhuma Pride of Lions, the Pride of Lion that are just to the west of our border at the moment, and hopefully we'll be back tomorrow. And back then, I think there were 7 or 8 lions in the Pride. Now there's only 5. And back then there was also a young male called Junior. He was about 3 years old, I'm guessing, at the time. And they were stalking some prey. Nobody could see, including Brent, what was actually being stalked. And the message I got through from Nikki in the final control room was that the lions are stalking something. Brent's standing by in the vehicle, and I was parked standing by at Twin Dams, which was probably about 800 meters to a kilometer away from where Brent was. And I knew where Brent was, obviously, because I'd been relayed that information. And I'd parked, I was stopped, listening, possibly for alarm calls. I'm not too sure why I was stationary. And all of a sudden, I heard "Mwah, mwah," the sound of a buffalo in distress. And I knew that the Nkuhuma Pride were on the back of this buffalo with Brent right there. I dropped the clutch and sped over there in absolute rapid speeds in order to try and capture some more different angles and also get in on the action, and got there just in time, literally as the Nkuhuma Pride brought that buffalo to the ground. And it was great that we did get to share the different angles, but Brent was definitely there for the quality moments, and it was an incredible chase and an incredible moment. Definitely the best kill that we've captured since we've been filming by a long way. The only other kill or decent kill that's been captured start to finish was probably of Karula, a female leopard, catching a baby impala that had been stranded. Actually, the leopard had killed the impala's mother the day before. Interestingly, that very same morning, the leopard had lost its remaining tiny little cub to a hyena. That evening, she killed an impala. Nobody saw it, and we were actually looking for her the next day and found her in the area where she had lost her cub. She was there calling for it, hoping that